Yo, what's going on YouTube? My name is Michael, and I am about to give you what I would call golden knowledge to save you potentially hundreds of hours in case management, case resolution on eBay. I've been selling on eBay for almost 10 years, and I recently just got scammed, and in that process, I spent about 100 hours off and on the phone with message groups, with text chat support, with phone chat support, with a bunch of other things, and I finally got the inside scoop as far as what the actual process tree for eBay cases and what it actually is. And I'm going to give you that at the end of the video as an upload. Now that said, I have no idea how long this video is going to be, and I'm sorry if this sounds like I'm rambling and telling a story just because I want to get it off my chest. But that's not what this is. I'm going to tell you a story related to the case that I had, and then I'm going to break it down after the fact and give you the process tree for any case. So I'm going to give you a real world example, my situation, and I'm going to then use that in order to basically give you the streamlined steps in every case eBay has in order to come out on top as a seller. As a seller, I've been screwed over many times over the years through eBay. And it's crazy. Like 9 times out of 10, you just kind of roll over on it because you don't have enough time to invest in it. But for this one, this situation, I felt like it was an $800 transaction and it was worth my time in order to actually push forward to make sure that things got taken care of the way that they should have. All right. So let's start it off. Let's go to eBay. Let's see. Here's the order details. Perfect. Okay. Let's go to the actual order number. We just get the order number. That's fun. See the return details. That's not really what we want. Okay. So here's the deal. Dude buys an iPhone 13 Pro from me. I ship out the item. I take an unbelievable amount of photos. I wanted to make sure that without a doubt, this sale went through because I was really needing money in order to pay for rent. It was a big deal for me. And so I went ahead and I listed the phone on eBay and I thought, okay, I have an unlocked iPhone 13 Pro. This should go through and I should be able to sell this pretty quickly at this price. Right now, retail, this phone sells for probably around $1,100 right now. And that is with a contract with the carrier via Verizon, T-Mobile, or AT&T. Now that said, I'm selling it unlocked. Okay, before I get into it, eBay buyer buys the item, pays immediately. When he pays immediately, it actually I having been a seller for so long, eBay just deposited the money in my bank account instantly, which was kind of like a reprieve for me because I really needed the money now. And so I didn't think anything of it. I just shipped out the item. So despite me sending a message to him basically saying, hey, if you want to see any details of the phone, I'm willing to make a phone call. He messaged me back 2 days later. I needed the money so badly, I went ahead and I shipped the item. And that mistake is the reason I'm in the situation that I'm in right now. Anyway, he basically replies, hey, I don't need to make private phone calls to see the phone if the photos are real enough. But I don't need the phone anymore. Please cancel. Please cancel. Help me understand why someone who orders a phone, pays for it, waits 2 days, waits till I ship the item out, and then after I ship the item out, like, gives me a response to cancel. At this point, I knew that this case was about to be dragged. This was going to be war, and I was right. And it continues on with. All right, let me just go. Let's get into it. So at this point, I just kind of go about my own business, and lo and behold, the buyer receives the item on April 5th. Well, on April 8th, 3 days, he opens up a case. And he opens up the case as an item not as described. He sends me a message and he says, "Hey, why did you send me this Cricket phone?" And I'm like, "I didn't send you a Cricket phone. I sent you an iPhone 13 Pro." So at this point, I call eBay and I'm like, "Hey, look, what gives? What are my options here?" Like, he's obviously trying to do a bait and switch. He wants to send me back a broken Cricket phone for my iPhone 13 Pro. eBay agent basically gives me this, "Oh, well, there's not a whole lot you can really do about it. Just send him your own personalized return label and have him send it out and try to work it out between you and the buyer." And at that, or you can have eBay step in. So like, there's one or two. I can work it out, or eBay can work it out. The dude on the phone basically says, "Hey, you can get up to 50% back, or they'll give you a 50% of the item when you receive it if you let us know, hey, by the way, it's not the item you sent him." Well, obviously, I knew it wasn't the item I sent him, right? Immediately knew that. Duh. Okay. At this point, there's nothing I can do. I sent him a label, and I just assumed that is that. I went onto USPS's website, I print out a label, and I send it to him virtually, and I assume, okay, he got the email, he got the message, he's gonna send me back whatever he's gonna send me back. Okay. The buyer waits 7 days and doesn't do anything with my label. He waits for eBay. At the end of 7 days, eBay steps in and says, "Hey, it's been X amount of days or whatever, and we haven't seen anything with this phone back." Well, after I got my own label, I called eBay and I basically said, "Hey, look, I sent him a label. Here's what's going on. Here's all the details. Can you put this in the file?" And the reason I did that was because what's really stupid about eBay is there's absolutely no option in the case, in like the whole case situation or whatever, in order to like have like an upload box in order to upload the label that you send to the buyer. So like, when they tell you to work it out between the two of you, what they're basically saying is, "Hey, look, we're not actually gonna do anything about this. We just we want you to quote unquote work it out with the buyer. Just work it out. Just work it out. It'll obviously just get taken care of, right?" So obviously, when I send him this label, all right, here it is. On the 8th, I send him the return label, right? I think, okay, obviously it's in my eBay messages. I've done everything I could possibly need to do in order to get this taken care of, right? He said, "What happened? This isn't the right phone." I sent him a return label. He doesn't do anything with the return label. Meanwhile, eBay automatically steps in after 7 days and issues him a return label. He then uses eBay's return label, and I receive the item. eBay is mad at me that I didn't work it out with the buyer, even though I did everything that I needed to do as a seller to take care of the issue. And now I have a 3 day window in order to quote unquote deal with the sale. So obviously, what do? I pick up the phone and I call eBay and I say, "Hey, look, obviously I sent him this label. He didn't use it. He just didn't respond to anything. He didn't even respond to the label or say anything. He just flat out ignored it and then used eBay's label in order to force eBay to quote unquote get involved." Well, now here's the thing. If that's the case, then it doesn't require a buyer in order to actually engage with the seller. The second the buyer wants a refund for the item, he just has to wait the amount of time in order for eBay to step in, since there's no actual place in order to submit the documentation, in order to send in a return label, in order to quote unquote take care of the issue aside from eBay. So eBay sends him the label and he promptly sends me the item back. Well, the thing was, is in the listing, when I listed the item, I forgot that apparently, even if you change your shipping label or your shipping address label for items to be sent to you, where my sending of items was coming from was my old school address that I had from over 10 years ago when I was in college. Now, this is kind of a problem because at this point, what happens is the item gets sent to my university that I was at the time, and someone signs for it, and this package of what is obviously a damaged cricket phone is sitting at my university or at my university post office over 1,800 miles away from where I'm currently living. Now, this is a really big problem. Obviously, I can't inspect the item. I know I didn't receive the item I sent him. And that at that point, what do I do? Well, when I contact eBay, they basically say, "Oh, well, you should have him contact the post office and have a return to sender and then send it back to you." Obviously, the buyer doesn't care. The buyer just wants the money back. Well, the thing is that during that 3 day window, I basically tell the agent, "Hey, by the way, can you just put a hold or a freeze on this until we get this worked out such that I actually receive and can inspect the item?" And he says, "Okay, I'll do that." Well, he puts a freeze on the item or whatever, but when the 3 day window ends, he calls into eBay and they automatically send him a refund. And at this point, I'm pissed. I'm so angry because at this point, he's basically used a loophole where eBay's going to automatically send him back the money within a certain allotted amount of time. Well, at this point, I am freaking out. I don't have enough money to cover them pulling all the funds out of my account. So what do? I do the only thing I can think of. I go to my, as a seller account, I go to my account information. I go to my account settings. And I go to payments. And I remove all of the, I remove all the credit cards, I remove all the credit cards, and I change banks. I had opened up a second banking account, and I recommend anybody that's getting screwed over by eBay that's doing an automatic return and refunding money that is in your account that eBay has no business touching when in fact it's a fraudulent return. Like, I totally understand eBay coming in and taking the fees if in fact there's an issue or whatever. But an issue with the actual item that was sent out. But instead of working with me and for eBay to take matter into their own hand, I had to do the same. So the only information or payment methods that I left in there were expired credit cards, and I changed the bank account. Now at this point, I call the bank and I say, "Hey, put a freeze on any transactions that come through for eBay." Actually, I just put a hold on that entire account. That bank account had no money in it. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to make sure that I could work through it with eBay first before they ripped the funds of an $800 sale out from under me when I'm receiving basically a broken brick for my iPhone 13 Pro. Now, okay, at this point I'm thinking, okay, I have leverage now. Had I let eBay remove the funds from my account, they basically told me that go ahead and let them remove the funds and take back the funds. Then you can submit an appeal. Well, here's the thing. If I submitted an appeal when eBay already has my money, how motivated do you think they are to actually work with me? How motivated do you think they are to actually do the right thing and give me a refund? Not very motivated. When they don't have the money, now that's a different story. Now they're very motivated. And so that's what I did. So I basically froze this bank account and I switched bank accounts from my primary bank account to some dummy bank account with no funds in it. Okay. So I think, all right, now I'm going to get somewhere. Well, I call eBay support after all of this because I'm getting messages basically asking for money. And I finally, after quote unquote faking or basically calling and telling them, hey, I submitted a police report for this, because the reality was this was a big fraud. Right now, if I'm required by the IRS to quote unquote declare any $600 or above transaction, and and someone is allowed to basically bait and switch a $600 item, send it with signature tracking, which is what eBay automatically printed them as a label, and someone else that's not me sign for it and receive the item, and then quote unquote say it's from me and I received it, that's a problem. And so finally, after all of this, I'm going to show you the email correspondence that happens after the fact, after I finally had my conversation with on the phone over the phone. It says, "Hey, my name is Judith from eBay customer support, and let me help you about the return claim filed for this iPhone 13 Pro. It says, after reviewing your case, I see that the buyer was able to provide us with the tracking number. Here it is. It was delivered to your return address and was even signed, not by me. That said, that delivery was made and buyer did their part, and their part reason why they were still refunded. Good thing we have processed your final value credit and reflect that within your account within 24 hours. They basically say, hey, check with your carrier and figure it out yourself. We're done. We've already issued you your $100. Well, it's true. eBay takes a cut of 12% of every transaction, which is kind of high. And then they basically give me a list of all the different options we can do. We recommend that you talk to your mail carrier. You might want to ask a neighbor. Here, if you purchased insurance on the shipment, you should do all these things. Well, the thing is like at this point, I did purchase insurance on this item, but it's not that the item that I got back, there was nothing wrong with the shipment. Like I thought about this message, the more I realized eBay was basically asking me to commit insurance fraud instead of take responsibility for the fact that their platform has people that are illegitimately using their services. Like, they're not real people using pseudonames for other people, and they are asked and required to verify their information in order to even purchase on the platform. So, like, as a seller, the first thing you have to do when you start selling on eBay is provide your social security number as well as tax information. Buyers have to not don't have to do any of that. And so for them to tell me to basically open up an insurance claim against the United States Post Office rather than look at the obvious culprit, which was the fact that the dude tried to cancel the order before the order happened, and then sends me an item of a Cricket phone 3 days after his order arrived. If you got an order that was wrong the day you got it, like, and you opened it up, I can bet you anything. When that iPhone 13 Pro showed up at his door, he opened that thing up instantly. He got that notification on his phone or that doorbell rang, and this dude was literally jumping up and down. And it blows my mind. They're asking me to commit insurance fraud such that freaking Pitbull the rapper can have his free iPhone. And I'll get my money back from the United States government. That makes sense. It's a great idea. Like, the reality was he just bait and switched me. And so at this point, I'm like, okay, well, there's absolutely nothing I'm going to get from this. So I finally call eBay back and I let them know that I didn't receive the item. And then I basically told them, hey, I got it. It wasn't what I wanted. Or it wasn't what I expected, which I already knew from the messages, right? And basically, they tell me that the item was delivered to my address, even though I was signed for and it wasn't. And then they basically ask, hey, for us to proceed, we need to know the specific item you received of the item. You can also send pictures as proof. Once we receive, we will review it and proceed from the next process for your refund. Well, the thing is like they've already refunded the buyer, but they're supposed to refund me because the reality was this was a fraudulent transaction. And they basically asked for proof. Well, obviously, I can't provide proof. The item is 1,800 miles away. So, what happens? What happens? I call them again. I finally get somebody who has some intelligence because they send me to quote unquote their manual corrections division. And their manual correction division, I basically give him all the information regarding it. And he basically says, okay, here, I'm going to have eBay send you a message, an email, and just respond to it and give them all the details for what happened with the transaction. So here's what I did. Oh my god, I totally like tore into them for this. I was so angry about what had happened. So here's the email they sent me. They said, "Hey, this has happened. This is on May 4th." Okay? So I also want to like go back and look at like the date of 7th, and now we are at May 4th. We are over a month after the fact. And he basically says, hey, thank you. I understand how unfair it is that the buyer received full refund after receiving a different item. Hey, we appreciate all this time you've wasted and that you've called us, you've changed bank accounts, you've done all this stuff. You've been a customer for us or you've been selling with us for this long. They immediately quote unquote verified all the pertinent information and see that the item was delivered, sent out, and what you received. Well, the reality was is like what I received, I basically just used the photos that this dude graciously gave me before quote unquote sending it back to me, which he didn't send back to me using my label. I then I do some recon. I have all the pictures of the item that I put in the listing. I have even pictures of the item I had when I quote unquote shipped it. Here's all the information of all the labels. This is everything. This is what I received from the quote unquote buyer. Here's the buyer's information. Now, this is the point. I've done a bunch of research at this point. It's been over a month. I've been doing recon. I've spent like almost 70 hours getting and moving forward with this case to try to get this taken care of. I want my money. I want my money for this. This is ridiculous. And so what I realized when I look at who it was delivered to, and I look up this dude's name and this dude's address, this dude lives in a house. He lives in a $120,000 house, but he's also Pitbull the rapper. Why in the world is Pitbull the rapper automatically, quote unquote, deferred to as the winning participant in this case that's quote unquote been reviewed by eBay when it's obviously fake? Like, it's fake. It's obvious this dude is like freaking scamming me. And I didn't even realize it because I just needed to like get the sale. I needed the money. And it's crazy that I have to like do all this research and find out what house he lives in and realize that like the reality was I basically memed him. I said, hey, look, no one's gonna look at like what his actual information is. No one here is reviewing anything. Like they don't spend any time actually like looking at any of the information. And like the thing is like after this message, they finally say, "Oh, hey, congratulations. Thank you for putting in 70 hours. We're going to give you a manual correction. Turnaround is 7 to 10 business days." This email is sent May 5th. Okay? Now here's the deal. It was March 27th. Now May 5th is rolled around. We are at May 5th. Now obviously, they're still sending me emails on the daily asking for their money back because they can't get the money to quote unquote come out of my bank account. So they tell me 7 to 10 business days. Within that window of 7 to 10 business days, let's look from May 5th. From May 5th, 7 to 10 business days. Okay, 1 business day, 2 business days, 3 business, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so it's within this window. It's going to be here to here, right? That's when I'm going to get my money back. Okay, right? That's when I'm supposed to get my money back. It makes sense. Well, I get my account frozen. At this point, eBay's supposed to send me a manual correction. eBay suspended. Dude, it is 10,000 degrees in here. I'm gonna freak out. So I'm supposed to receive my quote-unquote, I'm supposed to receive my manual correction between 16 and 19. May 16th and 19th. That's 7 to 10 business days. My account, quote-unquote, from eBay gets suspended on May 24th. Okay? So on May 24th, they suspend my account. Well, the reality is like right now, I should have been paid between the 16th and 19th. I was supposed to receive my manual correction. Now it gets even more frustrating. So what I do, when they suspend your account on eBay, what they don't tell you is that they basically also restrict your ability to contact support via the phone. So you can't talk to any like human beings. And the thing is that not only can you not talk to any human beings, but their online chat form or whatever that they have on eBay support doesn't have as much authority as the chat support that's on the phone. The chat support on the phone can work up the ladder and send emails through the back chain of eBay to actually get cases taken care of. So what that means is that eBay they won't do anything through the chat methods. And the thing that's so frustrating about it is through all of that, they send you a quote unquote a copy of your transcript each time. And to give you an idea just how crazy this is, the last set of transcripts or whatever that I get is basically them just ping-ponging me around to different. I have one person talk to me. He basically asks me a bunch of questions. Then he says he's going to quote unquote transfer me to somebody who can help. 1 transfer, 2 transfer, 3 transfers, 4 transfers. And by the 4th transfer, I basically ask him if you can help me. And he tells me, well, until you pay us, we can't quote unquote issue the manual correction. Well, here's my problem at this point, and I'm in a stalemate with eBay because the reality is that like I have almost no faith or trust in their process or their system that they're actually going to do the right thing and issue me a refund. That I would hate very much to pay my outstanding balance of 600 and quote unquote. I sold it. The reality is that they owe me $800, and they're telling me that until I quote unquote pay off my balance, that they won't move the case forward. They won't do anything. They won't issue the manual correction. So they were supposed to issue the manual correction between here, 16th and 19th. They didn't issue the manual correction. They suspend my account, but despite them not issuing the correction between the window that they told me, they won't do it until I pay them. Well, at this point, I have the thing that's so irritating is it's hit my credit score that I still owe them money. And not only has it hit my credit score, but it's also I'm banned from eBay from selling anything, and they still haven't paid me, which is kind of like infuriating. So what I would have done differently is I would have paid them when they actually told me. I should have paid them, or I don't know. I shouldn't have paid them. They should have just issued the correction. But if, in fact, I were to do this over, I would have paid them when they told me that I was getting the manual correction. I would have put the thing out and I would have paid them because right now this should have already been taken care of. But at this point, I'm at the corporate ladder. Anyway, okay, let me break it down for you. Here's the steps. I've got a lovely diagram that I am going to use as a reference of like how the eBay cases work. Here's the breakdown. Here's the breakdown. Buyer's going to give you a not as described. Their pathway or options is work it out with the buyer or have eBay get involved. If eBay gets involved, you're not going to quote unquote get a. This is what they tell you over the phone. This is to summarize everything that they're going to tell you over the phone. You can work it out with your buyer. That only works if, in fact, you can only really work it out with the buyer if you have a buyer that's actually like a reasonable person who's going to like work it out with you, which means that they accept your return label, they use your return label, and they quote unquote eBay then basically forces you into a corner and gives you a 50% refund. I really don't even think this is that great of an option. I think having eBay quote unquote get involved in changing the bank account information, but we'll get there later. This is really your option. These are really your options. If I was playing a video game with eBay as like a Mass Effect and you're like choosing between different options on like a character like window or whatever in order to quote unquote get the result you want, and every other option results in failure, we're basically looking at a tree of items not as described, buyer automatically wins, default to the buyer. eBay's going to send them a label that you're going to pay for, quote unquote. Then after eBay's going to send them a label, that you have, quote unquote, 3 days to add information into the case. Now, what I've also been told after the fact is that the reality is that after those 3 day window, it's a race to see who calls eBay first. So theoretically, when you receive the item back and it's not the same item or it's damaged and not as you sent it, your race to eBay, calling eBay is more likely to side with the person who takes prompt action by calling them first after that 3 day suspended window or whatever goes away. And they're more likely to side with you and potentially give you a win. 9 times out of 10, they don't even do that. They're just going to automatically default to the buyer because buyer bringing in new money, and they figure whatever you're selling is from a yard sale and not worth anything. So don't send any. Don't really. I don't recommend selling anything very expensive on eBay. But if you're going to sell something incredibly expensive and you don't really care whether or not you get banned off eBay, the reality is sell the most expensive thing and pray they do the right thing. But they probably won't. Okay, so they're gonna tell you you can get a 50% refund if you do a label. You can do that. It's $10 or whatever, however much you're gonna spend. They're gonna quote unquote, and they can choose to use the label or not use the label. After that, 7 days are going to pass. eBay is going to automatically issue, if you haven't quote unquote already accepted the refund and have eBay get involved right away. Their 7 days are going to go by. eBay is going to send them a label. They're going to send you the item back. Apparently, according to eBay, it doesn't matter who receives the item as long as it's signed for. So, what another option or potential option tree you could do is when you get your item back and it's a signature confirmation, you just have the person dropping it off asking for your signature, take it back and say you don't accept the package. You're allowed to do that. And at that point, you quote unquote never received the item, and that's not your fault. But regardless, the buyer's going to get an automatic refund. Now, at this point, your real options are eBay will tell you after they've quote unquote submitted the refund and have the automatic quote unquote money taken out of your account, they're going to give you the option to appeal the case. Regardless of what happens, they're going to take the money, and then they're going to use this fear, and your only choice is really to remove your bank account information and credit cards, because that's your only leverage. I'm sorry if you sell a lot of items on eBay. You're probably better off just fighting the quote-unquote business expense of selling whatever it is that you're selling. But if it's a big money and you really want to fight it, that's what you got to do. And then the thing is like, if you let eBay take the refund or whatever and you attempt to appeal the case with eBay after the fact, eBay's not going to, like, they don't care. At that point, like, you're of low priority. They've already gotten their money and they can do whatever they want. And so, like, that's the thing that's so dumb about the decision tree is, like, they're at that point that you have no leverage. Like you are basically, you mean nothing to them. Like, they are such a big corporation that they're going to basically treat you as, like, oh, well, we don't really care. It is what it is. We may or may not, quote unquote, side with you and let you give you a reimbursement or whatever. But once they've sent out the refund, they don't actually like take the money back from the buyer. So like I don't even see this appeal going anywhere. So I really feel like this is really your only option. And then the other option, or quote unquote secret backdoor with their phone support, and this is all through phone support. Do not use the online messaging chat service. It's useless. The phone support or whatever, you need to quote unquote use the police report as a quote unquote threat, or hey, I submitted a police report, I need, and then they'll send you to the quote unquote scared actual powerful people who have the ability to make decisions. They'll give you the option to do a manual correction. You'll send an email with a bunch of information, digging dirt on your buyer and finding out where he lives and he's not a real person or whatever. And then they'll give you this option for a manual correction with 7 to 10 business day turnaround. I don't really expect the 7 to 10 day business turnaround. I bet who knows how long it is. But the thing is the sad part is, having looked at this tree, this is every case. I've sold on eBay for a long time. This is every case. Every case I've ever had has gone like this in one way or another. And the thing is there are multiple times where eBay can actually like have the authority to listen to you, or quote unquote you should be able to submit information. And like even if I go on their website or whatever and I look up eBay case uh resolution, and I go through and I look at their quote unquote overview, and they give you like this overview or whatever, of like what they're gonna do and seller protection and all this stuff. All right. So they'll tell you, hey, add tracking details, refund the buyer, message. Do not ever refund the buyer. Literally make eBay pry it out of your dead hands, because the thing is like that is no bueno. Like, do not refund the buyer. The second you refund the buyer, you lose all power, and no matter what you appeal, you automatically lose. But the thing is like when they tell you like what your options are, you add tracker or you like let them send it back or whatever. Never refund the buyer. It's pointless if you're actually wanting to fight it. And then they tell you to quote unquote go to the seller hub, request disputes or whatever, report problems. The thing is like in all these report problems and dispute things or whatever, they give you a time limit, and at the end of the time limit or whatever, they're basically that time limit gives them the quote unquote authority to rip the money out of your hands. And then they'll like quote unquote say that you get the final value credit or whatever, and when they say you get the final value credit, what they're basically saying is they're saying, okay, we're going to give you back the 12% we took from the sale, such that, quote unquote, you break even and all you lose is the item. I'm sorry, that's just not acceptable. That 12% should be at least a portion of every sale should be going into a pool of money that is required for cases like this, like for the quote unquote eBay seller support that exists. But it's non-existent. It does not exist. And I think the thing that blows my mind about all of this is that this has been going on for a long time. And not only that, but like people have noticed it. And yet nothing has changed. And like there is something fundamentally like almost illegal about how they operate around all of this. Like if you really think about it, they're preying on the fact that you give up because you run out of time because you have other things to do with your life. They're preying on some other information or whatever to be provided somewhere elsewhere. They're expecting resolutions to occur between two normal people versus the creatures that the internet has created. I mean, like we live in a world right now where that's just not possible. And I guess the thing that makes me so frustrated is the fact that when it's all said and done with, and I've just spent probably 40 minutes on a video explaining my scenario and the decision tree for eBay, in that time period, and all the research and energy I've put into this case, I worked for less than people in the Philippines work. Like I got paid at a less hourly rate for the amount of effort and work I had to do to unpack this eBay web of lies, which is what it is. It's a web of lies and deception and distraction. And let me just show you how bad it is. It's so bad that when I type in eBay, they send from a different email address their customer information. I don't get the customer help. I don't get the customer help information eBay. If I type in eBay in the search bar there, now if I put in customer help, now I get some eBay information. And they do all of these like manipulative things as you're talking to people, and they tell you things, and they say, "Hey, this is your only option. This is what you need to do next." And as you follow every step, what you find is that when you get to that step, the information is invalidated at the time you get to that step. And it's just like at this point, it would not surprise me if I paid off my final value fee and they tell me it's been too long, we can no longer process your manual correction. And it's like, well, if that's the case, like, why have I gone through all these hoops? I literally had to like write a meme email to you using a freaking Spider-Man meme in order to get my point across. And then eBay neglects to send the money, and them choosing not to send the money. If I chose not to hit the money, my credit score gets affected. If they choose not to send the money, who freaking cares? And it's like, I don't know. I'm just so infuriated. If this video has done anything for you, um, if this has added any value for you, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share this. Maybe I'll become a YouTuber. Maybe I could become the next Mrbeast by creating YouTube videos, because I know that selling on eBay is not a way to make money. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a good day.